back to another. God, what can I say other than today I was and I found a bargain that took me right back, really took me right back. And as soon as I saw this bargain, I knew that I knew that I had to buy it. And it's taken me right back to my childhood days, as I'm gonna sort of explain in today's stream. So town today, and my nan wanted to call it the cash point to take some money out. And next to the cash point, there's an Age UK second-hand shop. So usually while she's taking money out of the cash point, you know, sometimes she's a bit of a while, or if there's a few people in front of her at the machine, I go and just have a look in the Age UK, just mainly for something to do. And I don't mind looking in second-hand shops anyway, because you can sometimes come across bargains, like I did today. So I always just go and look anyway, have a little browse in the CD section, just see if there's anything, you know, that's worth sort of taking a look at. See if there's anything that's worth having. And I came across in the CD section an album that I originally owned brand new when it came out. I got it for Christmas brand new. And I think over time I ended up losing the album version of it. And then I bought the digital version on iTunes, which I don't believe you can no longer buy on iTunes anymore, which is a real sad shame. I don't have iPhone device anymore. I moved over to Android. So I kind of lost all purposes of the album, because obviously with the iTunes I'd already bought the album, so it was already still in my library anyway. So when I moved over to Android, I lost all you know, ways of listening to the album, until I found the digital, the CD version in Age UK today for only as little as 99p, and I thought, do you know what, I've got to buy this. All you youngers now, all you young teenagers blasting out your tunage, you know, you think you've got it all good. You've got the BBCC. What more do you want? You know, they dominate the scene. Everyone loves a bit of BBCC. Even if I DJ like birthday parties and things, I get requests to put a BBCC song on. Before the days of BBCC, there was a similar but very different group that were a group of MCs, and they dominated the donk scene at the time, and that I'm aware of. I mean, you know, quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe this group are the only bunch of like donk and bounce MCs to ever get a like a physical sort of public signed released album with donk MCing on it. And you know, their tunes went viral, and to the point where, you know, they were even on music channels on TV. One of their songs, believe it or not, which, you know, is a donk song, was even played on the radio at the time. And you know, having donk on the radio, opposed to like having hardcore on the radio, it's a very rare thing. Underground music and sort of rave music doesn't really come on the radio, apart from maybe like on a weekend DJs will get in the tech house mix. You know, I know like years ago BBC Radio 1 used to do like late shows in the early hours of the morning, and you know, they put underground music on there then. But I'm sort of talking, you know, you're driving to work in your van, you know, you're driving from job to job in your van, and these songs had come on, you know, in the daytime, in the prime time, you know, at the same time you'd sort of hear like Drake and Ariana Grande, like, you know, like you would now. And they come on at, you know, at that time, and they were obviously, you know, they were donk MCs. So yeah, so you all had your BBCC, Bad Boy Chiller crew, but we had one better, and we had the Dom of the scene, and we had the Blackout crew. The Blackout crew, absolutely, it's what got me into like proper you know, like rave music at the time, you know. I'd grown up around this sort of like Ministry of Sound and funky house, a little bit of hard house, but when I started really sort of discovering like clubland and bounce and taking my music a little bit harder and a little bit faster, as opposed to like a Man Van Helden and Bob Sinclair, you know, I'd grown up listening to them. I mean, Axwell I Found You, that was released in 2007, that was one of my all-time favourite songs at one point, where I'd like blast it on the radio, you know, all the time, and I got that album as well. I got that on the single, with a few different remixes of the tune at the time. But when the Blackout Crew come out with Put a Donk on it, they were really dominating the scene, and it, you know, they were really doing something good at the time. And Donk was in like a very sort of it was in a big place at that point. There was, you know, the Scouse House and the Bounce, and you know, you had Wigan Pier that was absolutely dominating the scene. You had Cheeky Tracks coming out on vinyl, and you had, you know, MC was just breaking through with Ozone Bounce back in '06, and the Blackout Crew, they just absolutely dominated the scene for me at the time. And you know, I remember when the album came out, like I was so shocked at how many songs they'd actually done, because Bubba Bubba Bounce and Put a Donk on it, and Rumpa Pumpa, they used to come on Clubland TV. So I remember them. But then when the album come out, it was like, ooh, Dialed, Ravers Binge, you know, Here Together, which I love Here Together. It's one of my favourites. We've reconnected. My phone did that thing again. It's on charge, but it's quite hard, like the stream battling with it trying to charge. It's, you know, the stream's overpowered, so it's still dropping the battery down. But yeah, so when, like I say, when the album came out, it was like so different, and it gave like, you know, I was like, whoa, they've done all these different songs. They did No Guns, No Knives, which was like a knife crime and a violence song. Rush Comes Alive, like again, Not Enough was another good one as well. And then they did where they just sort of like thanked everybody for the album. There was a little funny intro, and then they've got Dowie's Call. Dowie's obviously one of the group members. That was quite funny. Bust It Up a Level. I liked Bust It Up a Level. Ravers Binge was probably my least favourite song on the album, and that's why I'm probably glad that it was apart from the intro, it was the first track of the album. I do sort of like that they didn't just go in with all the best tracks first, and then you get later on in the album, and then it comes to that Ravers Binge. I didn't mind it, but it wasn't my it just wasn't my most favourite tune from them. But there is a line in there. I've used it when I've MC'd myself, and it goes, darker, darker, we're getting deeper, we're getting icy, turn on the heater, just wait as it get a bit warmer, then you're going to see some amazing drama. I do like that bar, but just the song in general, in my opinion, just wasn't as good as some of the other ones. Dialed, I just thought was quite a bit more of a funny song, but it was good how it was put together. It was almost like it was like Blackout Crew was a call centre. Some really like good rhyming in there as well, and the thing I liked about the Blackout Crew as well is they all bounced off each other. And the thing about it is when they went commercial like this, it wasn't about drink and drugs. And it wasn't about your blah blah blah, I'm the best MC. It wasn't about banging your wife. Whereas, like, no offences to the Bad Boy Chiller crew, but you know they're a bit show offy. Like, oh look at me, like, you know, we're necking bottles of vodka, we're wheeling motorbikes. Look at us. We're having a session in the field. Look at us. We're sat on the bonnet of a pimped up Corsa. Blasting out Bradford bassline. And don't get me wrong, nothing against the Bad Boy Chiller crew. A lot of people love them. Whatever they're doing, they're obviously doing something right, because they're getting a lot of they're getting a lot of sort of success from it. That they are gigging about a lot. well, they're headlining, I think, which is good for them. It's just personally, it's just not my style. I just don't like their image. You know, I don't like the way they. You know, I'm not saying they can't MC and they can't flow, because they can, but I just don't like sort of the way they sort of like almost like promoting like sort of like being a bit of a chav and being a bit of a bad lad, you know, like, oh, I've been a bit of a bad lad and that, you know, like, oh, let's spark up the doobie, and you know, so sort of promoting like smoking weed and stuff, and yeah, the Blackout Crew did a few like sort of rude songs that weren't necessarily the ones that went viral on the album. I mean, they've done some good ones back in the day. You know, the way it's underground MCs that, you know, MC that donk raves as well, and you know, they perform together again now, which is quite a good thing to see. But I just feel like I don't know, like when the Blackout Crew made it more bigger, they worked with that in favour, and that's why you heard it on the radio and stuff, because you know the lyrics, they didn't really swear in it, and you know, they weren't dissing somebody or calling somebody out or having beef with someone. You know, they were making their own top class donk tunes, and they were adding their own twist to it. So it was almost like not just an MC MCing over a donk track, but it was an MC sort of making his own donk track and adding his own words to it. So as opposed to just jumping on a donk track and spitting about anything, there was all these different tracks that had a meaning and had a purpose. And one thing, they didn't MC over vocals, and they worked with the tracks very well, and they had a person, I think he was called Tony, and he made their donks, you know, he produced the donks for them as part of the group. And then it was obviously the Zach K, Dowie, Cobra, Viper. Yeah, so Zach K, Cobra, Dowie, Viper, and then there was another one as well. I forget the names, but it actually says it in this little booklet. So altogether, there was Viper, there was Cobra, there was Dowie, there was Zach K, and there was Rapid, and they all worked off each other so well. There's a little introduction about their tune as well. So written by something Davis, Allison, Chadwick. Yeah, so EM Publishing Music. Yeah, yeah, and this was 2009. So this album and the tunes that was released properly in 2009. And it was this album was by All Around the World. So there was the record label that put out, you know, like all the you know, like Clubland songs on vinyl. So for example, like Ultra Beat, Pretty Green Eyes, Entrance, Set You Free, they were all on the All Around the World records. You know, Take Me to the Clouds Above, you know, Groove Coverage, Poison, they were all on that same label. So to think that an actual donk album with MCing on it actually got released, you know, and physically published, you know, worldwide, was quite a good thing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you know, like hardcore tunes and donk tunes, you know, they always have and will be released on labels, obviously, and they'll be out there, you know, for people to buy and stream. But I suppose what I'm, you know, I guess what I'm saying is like with these sort of, this got released on a more commercial level. So when Andy Whitby, for example, releases his new Bounce tune, you know, it's not going to get played on Capital FM the next day. Do you know what I mean? Whereas these people at the time, which I can't remember, but I think there was still, I don't know if anybody remembers it, there was still Galaxy FM back then. So, but, you know, it did get played on Galaxy FM, definitely. Put a donk on it. So it's just good. It's good to see. But no, I found it in the second-hand shop. And I had to buy it because I remember it came out in 2009. It was advertised on TV. They had a TV ad for it coming out. And it was just, you know, I was like, I've got to have this, you know, because Put a Donk on It used to come on Clubland TV, and I was like, oh mate, they're doing an album. You know, for me, it was like I guess it was my sort of like first proper favourite boy band. Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, and as I say, got the album for Christmas on the year it came out. Brand spanking new. I remember blasting it out Christmas Day morning. Christmas Day morning. I won't tell you about the rest of that Christmas Day because the rest of that Christmas Day can just go itself, because my parents actually ended up having a really ended up having a massive argument, which my parents and arguing has always been a thing. I mean, my dad argued with the partner he was with just recently. My mum argues with the partner she's with now. You know, what can I say? But no, they argued on Christmas Day. So I won't go any more further than that. But getting the album on Christmas Day morning, that for me, that was enough. You know, I got the one album that I'd wanted, you know, and I was like proper buzzed. You know, at the time, I wasn't bothered about my toy cars I'd got, you know, and I love toy cars, don't get me wrong. But no, back in the day, it was all about the Blackout Crew, and they were absolutely smashing it. It was absolutely fantastic. Really, really was just absolutely fantastic to see. And obviously, you know, I got the album. So yeah, so like I say, I lost all sort of copies of the album. So when I found it, I was kind of like, do you know what? Like, I've got to buy this just because it was 99p. It's got to go in my it's got to go in my CD collection. I might not play it all the time, but then there'll be one of them days where I'll pull it out and I'll be like, God, yeah, the Blackout Crew, and I'll put it on. I'll have a little blast. I have played it already since buying it. I've got it in a CD player that the phone's balancing on top of to do this stream. But yeah, what an absolute belter of a tune. And I'm in the shed again, by the way, just in case any of you was wondering. And if anyone doesn't know, I do always say it when I do a stream in here, because I don't do them in here all the time. But this is, I'm at my grandparents' house. This is where I used to live before I moved to Hull. And I did everything, all my music stuff originally from here. Had all the decks in here, had my PC in here. Everything that I did music wise, I did in here. You know, if that makes sense. So everything I did was done in here until I moved, and then after I moved, it kind of just turned into the, you know, let's put anything and store everything in here. But there is still a few little sort of like memorabilias of when it was the music studio. It's gone a little bit shabby since then. The door needs a good coat of paint on the inside. It's gone a little bit sort of bad here. Some bad do outside. The roof itself has also gone a little bit, like it's got a little damp and just needs a little bit of TLC. Sadly, I would love to do something with this shed again. It would always be, you know, I think what my dream would be. When we first bought this shed, we had it as a bar, like originally. You know, we had it as a bar. It was a really good little bar. And we used to have our like family outings here, so like Halloween parties, you know, New Year's Eve parties. You know, we had it all in here. It was my little bar. We had, you know, like music on. There was a dartboard in here. And it was an absolute, you know, it was an amazing thing to see at the time. You know, it would be really nice. I'd love to convert this back to a bar, definitely. If ever I could, and if ever, you know, I mean, there will be a time where I'll probably end up being able to do something with this shed again. I would really love to convert this into a shed, into a bar. Now, now obviously when my grandparents sadly go, which obviously I hate, don't want them to go. Obviously, love them to bits. I do, as a matter of fact, I do get the like rights to the house, and I own like half of the house when they sadly pass away, and although like I don't want it to happen, there is a few ideas that have crossed my mind. Sadly, when it does happen, that I would like to maybe eventually do. To the house, I would really possibly like to, sort of fix it up myself, and maybe do something with it. It would actually be like a really nice, like a really nice thing. But we'd obviously have to see, how things would pan out in the future. But obviously, like I say, we would never wish upon anybody, to pass away or die. But yeah, but the dream with this place in here would be to convert it back to a bar and have a dartboard in here again, and just really fix everything up, and just really make a really nice, really nice, good sort of go of it, if you like, and really do something nice. It would absolutely just be an amazing thing, to be able to do, because we had it all in here: dartboard. There was a fridge, there was an actual bar in here, there was bar stools, there was, special little dishes that actually said bar, spelt bar, and you could put like different nuts and nibbles in them. We had like a thing on the wall where you could hang like packets of crisps onto. We also had things on the wall, octaves, where you could pour like your vodka and your whiskies, and although I'm not really a big drinker now, it would just be nice to convert the bar to obviously to obviously do that. However, what I was going to go on to say next is not the next shed, but the shed after is actually quite. It's a lot bigger. It's actually like a big. We call it big shed. It was actually where we used to keep the coal for our coal fire, and it's actually a fair decent size. To the point where you could renovate it into something quite nice, believe it or not. And imagine like a mega studio in there. So imagine, you could have like a studio, you could have a DJ area, and you could have a bar in there as well. You could make a really amazing place out of it. Get it all soundproofed, but the only thing is that would be something that would cost thousands, because the shed itself is not in a very good it's not in a good place. It's very run down. To start with, it's going to need a whole new roof, and then there's like two other little sheds that join onto it. One of them is called the dairy. It's like a real little square shed that that you can that is, there's barely any room in it, but what you could do is you could use it as an entrance to get into the main shed if you knocked a wall through, and it could be like a nice little hang your coat up kind of thing, just almost like a real little miniature hallway, just as you come through the door. That's only just like a little square, but you could just put like a little welcome mat down. You could put some coat hangers on, the sides, and then you could just sort of knock the wall through, and go through into obviously what would be the main shed. And then to the other side of the shed, there's another little sort of outer shed, and it has an outdoor toilet in it. So what I was possibly thinking is you could you could knock the wall through into the main shed, and you could put a door there. You could turn the toilet around so the location of the toilet is facing the other way. Put a little sink, and then you would have a little toilet while you're in there as well. So then, for example, if it got renovated and you was boogieing and you was partying, obviously you could you know, people could go to the toilet, or, you know, again, like what I'd probably use it mainly for would be like doing live streams and having guests down, which would be like a really cool thing to do. Imagine having guests down, having like a proper real nice kitted out studio, where you could just essentially just have people round, and you know, you have it all soundproofed out so you could have it a little bit louder if you wanted. Just imagine it would be a cool thing. Obviously, it's just a dream. It's, you know, I'm not saying it could never happen, but it would take a hell of a lot of work, a lot of renovation, because that shed it's a falling to pieces kind of thing. I mean, it's gonna want a whole like new floor. It's gonna want a whole new roof. It's gonna want new windows to start with, and then if you're thinking about knocking walls down and putting doors in different places, and you know, moving the you know, the location of things, it would obviously go into the thousands. But yeah, but anyway, I just thought I'd come live about this bargain. What a bargain it is. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, share. We'll see you next time. Peace out, people.